Guys, welcome back to another week of Take 10. Thanks so much for joining us. My name's Maddie, and today we're going to be going into Chapter 6, Problem Solving. All right, so our icebreaker question for today is, what subject in school are you best at, and why? So go ahead, pause the video here, and turn to your neighbors, and then go ahead and share your answer to this question. And then once everyone's gotten a chance to do that, go ahead and come back. Okay, so the subject in school that I'm best at is science. I really enjoy science, especially biology, physiology. I like learning how the world around me works. And I think because it's a subject I'm interested in, that makes me a lot better at it. So, thanks for participating in that question. All right, so now we're going to do a quick review from last time. So our review question is, what are I statements? And I know it was 2 weeks ago that we went through this lesson on effective communication, but hopefully playing Jeopardy last week kept everything fresh in your guys' mind and you remember the answer to this question. So again, I'm going to have you pause the video here and then see if as a class you can come up with a definition of I statements. So go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I statements are statements that discuss the way you are feeling and don't place blame in a conflict. So an I statement would be, I feel upset when you sit with your other friend instead of me because it makes me feel like you pick them over me, or you like them more than you like me. Something like that. So it's a way to express yourself without accusing the other person by saying like, you are so mean, you never think of my feelings. So if you can express the way you're feeling, it prevents the other person from becoming defensive and helps you to communicate more effectively and work towards a resolution. So over here I just have some little gifts that they're not really great I statements, but I thought you guys might enjoy them. All right, so then today, as we're going through our lesson, I want you guys to keep in mind this Take 10 principle. Every person has the right to choose how they will solve problems and express themselves. So you have the right to choose how you're going to solve your problems and how you will express what you're feeling. So just keep that in mind as we go through today's lesson. All right, so my question for you today is, how do you solve a problem? And what I'm looking for here are specific steps that you can take and apply them to any problem to help you find a solution. So what I'd like for you guys to do is to pause the video and see if you can brainstorm as a class some steps you could take, some things you might need to do, just some general stuff like that. Just take a minute or two and see what ideas you guys can come up with, and then come back after that. All right, so how do you solve a problem? Well, with Take 10, we're going to talk about 4 steps. You guys might have come up with something similar to this. You might have had some other ideas, and your other ideas aren't necessarily wrong, and they might work really well in applying them to a specific situation. But these are the 4 we're going to talk about today. So step 1 is to identify the problem. Step 2, brainstorm solutions. So what does that look like? So when you're identifying the problem, you have to figure out what's wrong. What am I trying to solve here? And then when you're brainstorming solutions, you're going to think of every possible solution you can. What are all the different ways you could respond to this problem? Step 3 is to choose a solution. Which one will give you the best outcome? Which one will have the best outcome for the most number of people? Which one is respectful to those involved? Which solution can you live with? Lots of questions like that can help you judge which solution will be best. And then finally, step 4, you're going to act on the solution you chose. So identify, brainstorm, choose, and act. All right, so then my question for you is, what if the solution you chose doesn't work? And I don't want you guys to discuss this, but just think in your head for a minute or two. What if the solution you chose doesn't work? What should you do? Okay, so if the solution you chose doesn't work, the best thing to do is to pick a different solution. hopefully when you were brainstorming solutions, you came up with lots of different options. And maybe even though the first one you chose didn't work, maybe the second one will, or the third one, or the fourth one. So just keep going through your solutions until you find something that will work for you. Okay, so quick recap one more time. We're going to identify the problem, brainstorm solutions, choose a solution, and finally, act on the solution. So identify, brainstorm, choose, act. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and practice this. We're going to try applying these 4 steps. And the first one we're going to do as a group, and then later I'll let you guys kind of work on your own and try this for yourselves. So this is our scenario. There's only one television in the house. You want to watch a show that's on at 8 o'clock tonight. Your brother wants to play his video game that he just bought at the store. It's 7:45 and you are claiming your TV rights. He is claiming that he should have the chance to try out his video game since he just bought it. You begin to argue. How can you solve this conflict? All right, so hopefully everyone understands the scenario. You and your brother both want the TV. That's basically all there is to it. So we're going to apply that Take 10 4-step problem-solving strategy. So step 1 is to identify the problem. The problem here, you and your brother both want to use the TV at the same time. So now we need to brainstorm solutions. So I came up with 3 solutions. You guys in your heads might be thinking of a lot more, and I definitely didn't come up with all the solutions. These are just the first 3 that came to my mind. So I said, option number 1 is you assert your rights over the TV. Use whatever means necessary to make sure you get to watch your show. So whether that's stealing your brother's game and hiding it, or just really throwing a fit and making sure you get to watch it, or hiding the remote or something like that. You want to watch your show and you want to make sure your brother doesn't get to play his game. Option 2, you let your brother play his video game since he did just buy it. He spent his money on it and he hasn't gotten the chance to play it. So you feel like he should have the chance to watch his show. Now with this solution, he should have the chance to play his game. And with this solution, you won't get to watch your show. And it doesn't say if we're able to record our show or anything, so we might have to assume that we would miss it and not be able to watch it later. Then finally, the third solution is you work out a compromise with your brother so he can play his game after you watch your show. All right, so now if we're choosing a solution among those 3, the third solution is going to result in the best outcome for both you and your brother. You'll get to watch your show, and hopefully he'll still have time to play his video game afterwards. But maybe if for some reason you guys have to go to bed right after that or something, he could potentially play his game tomorrow. But either way, you'll work it out peacefully and you'll both be able to have something that you can live with. You'll get to watch your show and he'll get to play his video game, even if it's not right away. So finally, act. So if we're going to act on this solution, you'll first have to talk to your brother about making a compromise. Hopefully he'll be willing to compromise and it won't be too difficult of a conversation. But if it is, you can bring in an adult to help you to work it out or figure out some way to make a fair compromise between the two of you. So that's just kind of a quick example of how you would apply the 4-step Take 10 problem-solving strategy. So first we identified the problem, then we brainstormed solutions, then we chose a solution, and then we acted on it. Okay. So now it is your guys' turn. So I have a little activity for you. And to do that, I'll need you guys to break up into groups of 2 or 3. And then I'm going to give you 2 problem scenarios, very similar to the one we just looked at. And in your groups, I want you guys to use the Take 10 problem-solving strategy to tackle each of the scenarios. So if you could have one person in the group get out a piece of notebook paper or something and just write down those 4 steps: identify, brainstorm, choose, and act, and then figure out what you're going to do for each of those steps for both of the problem scenarios. So then spend maybe about 10 minutes on that in your groups. And then after each group has gotten the chance to do this, come together as a class and have each group share what they came up with as their solutions. And you guys might find that you all chose very similar solutions, or you might have come up with very different ones. So just kind of take some time, talk about that, and see what you guys come up with. All right, so here are the two problem scenarios. The first one, Tracy is running late to class, as usual, and she runs straight into Tara. Tracy looks shocked and scared as she begins to stand up. She is embarrassed, but also mad that Tara was in the way. Both girls' books are thrown across the hallway. Pretend to be in Tara's shoes. How could you deal with the conflict? So that's the first problem. And the second one, Joe is hungry and waiting in a very long lunch line. Suddenly, someone steps on his foot. It's Robert. This will make the third time this week that Joe has been cut in line by Robert. Joe is not happy. He taps Robert on the shoulder. How do you think Joe will solve this problem? All right, so I'm gonna have you guys go ahead and pause the video here and then split up into your groups, work out these two problem scenarios using the steps identify, brainstorm, choose, and act. And then go ahead and resume the video when you are done. All right, go ahead. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that activity and came up with some good solutions. All right, so now, last part of our activity today, we have two questions for you, and we have a Google form link below so you can answer them. And our questions are, how can we use the Take 10 problem-solving strategy in conflict? And then, when you were working in groups to discuss the problem scenarios, did your group experience any conflict? If so, how did you respond? So last thing I need you guys to do today is just to answer those two questions and our icebreaker question from the beginning using the Google form. And again, if you don't have access to that, go ahead and just write your answers down on paper. But we'd love if you could answer them on the form for us so we can have some feedback. All right, so for next time, we're going to be moving on to Chapter 7, Trading Perspectives and Solutions. I need you guys to answer the questions on the Google form and then try to remember the Take 10 problem-solving strategy. Identify, brainstorm, choose, and act. And then finally, think about what shapes your perspective. All right. Thank you guys so much. You were great. Have a good week, and I will see you next time.